Hi, Dennis Bulldogs. It's Mrs. Johnson, your school counselor, and today is Wellness Wednesday. So, we're going to talk about a topic that I feel like would be beneficial in regards to your overall wellness. So, I was thinking about what would be a good thing to discuss, and I was looking through a packet that I have, and I'll probably show you some of the visuals that are in it. And I thought anger management might be something good to talk about. So, especially whenever we are forced to stay home more and we're around other people that we're not normally around 24/7. Even your family members, you typically, go to school and have that time away from them, your own personal time, and then you come home to them. So you're home a lot more than you normally would be, and not that that justifies anger, but sometimes things come up, especially when people do not have the opportunity to take a break from one another. So we're going to talk about a little bit of anger management. There's a lot more to be said about this, and so just know that this is a small snapshot of what there is to learn about anger management. So if this is something that you feel like you need or need help on, feel free to message me on Canvas, and we can talk about how we can work on that or how to get you work during the summer on that. There's other counselors in the community if that's something that you need to discuss with a professional, or we can always work on something for next year. But I just want to make sure you get help in a timely manner if you feel like it's something that's really influencing your daily life. Everyone gets angry, and I think that's something that we need to say to begin with, that being angry is normal. How you react to whenever you become angry can sometimes be the problem. So everyone in the world has felt angry before. It doesn't matter who you are or how calm that person seems to you. They've become angry at some point, and most of us have done something silly when we've become angry. But it's important to learn from those mistakes and to understand more about ourselves in order to move forward in a healthy manner. So I'll actually have these questions down below in the description box so that you can kind of challenge yourself into thinking about them more. But the first thing that it talks about is your triggers. And so I'll give you some examples of what a trigger is. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but it's usually an event that occurs that creates an emotion inside of you. So, for example, the ones that they have on this worksheet are being called a name or being picked on. Being falsely accused of something. So if somebody thinks their pencil is missing in class and somebody says, "I know you took my pencil," sometimes we become defensive, especially if we didn't do that thing. Being ignored or feeling invisible. Someone gets too close to you. So sometimes we like our personal space. I think we all have that limit, that everyone's limit's different. But if somebody gets in our space that we don't want them in, it typically makes us angry. Another one is jealousy, fear, or not feeling in control. And I don't know about you, but sometimes, on these days where we are being quarantined or are being asked to stay home and things are closed, it does feel like sometimes things are out of my control. And there are things that are out of our control. And it's important for us to realize what we can control and what we can't, and how to deal with the things that we can't control. And sometimes that can make us frustrated or angry. So those are just some examples. I'm sure we all have different things that trigger us. A lot of things come from personal experiences that might bother us. So if somebody calls us lazy, that might make us upset because of a situation that happened where we were accused of being lazy, or there might be a certain name that you're called that really bothers you. But there's all sorts of different triggers. So down below, these are the questions I'll have listed. I'm just going to read them just for good measure so you know what they are. And I can explain them if I feel like there's anything else to say. But it says, describe something that's caused you to become really angry in the past. And like I mentioned, we're only going to learn how to cope in the future if we learn from our past behavior. So you're going to ask yourself, what caused it? What happened right before it? So if you threw something in your room, what happened right before you threw something? Did you have a good day before that, or did it start off with a bad morning? So sometimes we wake up in the morning and things just are bad throughout the day, and it creates kind of a storm by the time we get home, or by the time we interact with that person on the bus, or whatever the situation may be. Were you hungry or tired? So how are you physically feeling? Who else was around you, and where were you? So I'll link that below like I mentioned, but then it asks, do you see any patterns? Start answering these questions in a journal when you have an anger outburst. Keep looking for patterns and work on those things. So just a suggestion, if you're someone who feels like you get angry quite often, you can journal about it afterwards and kind of assess like, what happened? Was it the same trigger? Did I get called a name again and then that caused me to react that way? What can I do to react differently? Examples of patterns. So if you're thinking about your behavior, you decide to do the journal. My little brother is usually with me when I get too angry, is an example. It only happens at home. It only happens at school. It only happens when I'm hungry. It never happens when mom is home. So one thing, it talked about hunger a couple times, and whenever we are hungry or sleep deprived, we don't think things through. And I know there's a funny word that's hangry, and it's where you get angry whenever you're hungry, but that's actually accurate because our bodies aren't responding in fullness, if you know what I mean. So like if we had a pie chart, this was our body, and we're only full, to halfway mark. We're not going to respond to things the same way as if we were totally full, like a full gas tank. We're not totally understanding things. We're not responding in a healthy manner because we're not fulfilled in the way that we should be. So whenever we're hungry, we are going to not feel exactly right. And so it's important to recognize those types of things and know that about yourself. If I know my triggers, I can. So it's important to know your triggers, and if you know them, then you can be ready for them. You can do things to stop them from happening. You can understand them, and you can change your habits. So I'm going to show you this little image here, right here. And this is the little body sketch. And it says, I know I'm about to get angry when my body feels like. So we talked about actual triggers and things that may happen to us, like being falsely accused or called a name. But our body actually responds to anger as well. So like, for example, when I get angry, I get really hot and I start to feel teary-eyed. So we all have different things like that and ways that our body responds. Sometimes people feel shaky, or their stomach hurts, or they get blurred vision. So there's all sorts of things, and that's an easy Google search if you want to look up extra ways that our body responds to anger. Okay, and so we're just going to talk about a few brief coping skills that you can use if you feel like you are becoming angry. So, when you are triggered, find something to make yourself stop before acting. There are many distractions you can try and find what works for you. You can actually cool down before you flip. So, it's important to realize that all these coping skills I'm going to share with you are not all going to work for you. You have to find what actually works for you, and I'm sure there's something that will, but just so you know, if you hear one that I talk about, it's okay if you don't think it's for you. So the first one is count to 10, which I'm sure we've all heard of. Take a walk, so get away from the situation for a little bit, and if you're at home, obviously make sure that you're asking to do that beforehand. Use a calming app. So there's a ton of free apps that you can get online that will help you calm down, or do some of that guided meditation I talked about a couple months ago on here. But there are lots of different things you can do. And YouTube has some really great videos as well, and I can link some of those in the description box. Go get a drink of water. Do breathing exercises, which we've talked about. Stretch each muscle group. So just kind of doing that physical activity. Bounce a ball. Squeeze a stress ball. Color a Zen design, or like use a coloring book. Trace a maze or labyrinth. Write in a journal. And then here's just a little example of breathe in, calm, breathe out, anger. So a little breathing exercise. Imagine breathing in a cool, calm breeze through your nose. You can smell the hint of fresh meadow or the ocean. As you breathe in, spell the word calm. So we would So before 4 seconds, you'd breathe in, and as you breathe out of your mouth slowly, imagine the angry thoughts and tightness in your body flowing out. Imagine it disappearing in the air. So breathe in calm, 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out anger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It also says talk yourself down. The things you say to yourself matter. When upset, practice saying, I'm getting too upset, I can find a way to calm down. I need a break, I can feel myself getting upset. I feel my body cues telling me I need a break. So that's if you're feeling hot, feeling teary-eyed, feeling anything your body physically feels. Or I can keep my cool. Because a lot of the times whenever we get angry, we talk ourselves up even more. So we're like, why would they do that? We just keep thinking about things. I'm so angry, I'm not going to be able to calm down. So we need to change the way we talk to ourselves in that language where we're giving ourselves, instead of working ourselves up, we can calm ourselves down. So I hope you find that helpful. Please feel free to send me any messages on Canvas. I have no problem responding or hearing what you've been up to, or if you have any questions about this specifically, or like I mentioned, if you feel like you need help with anger management, please reach out and let me know. It's nothing to be ashamed of. We all experience anger, and sometimes we just need a little extra help with it. So I am sending you all of my love. I miss you, and I can't wait to see you again, and I will see you again on Friday. See ya.